Hello guys, welcome to part 2 of the Lechraft server tour. We'll start off by going through the Nether portal back to the Nether hub, and then we'll explore everything around that area. We've already seen the Nether hub in the last video, so let's start by flying up onto the roof of the Nether and start looking at some of the buildings here. We'll start off going in this direction, and yeah, there we go, we got the gold farm. Right, these collection minecarts here are very noisy, so I'm going to fly up into the air. But yeah, this is pretty much the very standard, like, donut-shaped zombie pigman farm. You just sit over there in the center, you aggro one of the zombie pigmen, and then they just walk all the way. Their pathfinding just walks them all the way into the killing chamber right there. And because they're aggro to you, even though they die from, I think it's fall damage in this design, or maybe they get crushed, it doesn't really matter what it is. They don't die by the player itself, but you do still get XP from them because they are aggro to you. It's a very smart use of that mechanic. But I think most people have seen this design. It's pretty simple, and most non-technical servers have something like this as well. We actually built this like during the first, I don't know, week or two of the server, so it's not very special, but I still figured I'd show it off. To the left of the zombie farm, though, of the zombie pigment farm, we have this thing over here, which is the switch for, or sorry, the button, it's not the switch, for the nether mob switch. Now, it is kind of confusing because when the light is turned off, it's actually turned on. We should actually switch that around. Yeah, there we go. Now the light is turned on whenever the mob switch is turned on. But yeah, this is the end mob switch, and I explained how mob switches work in the last video, but this is obviously not using shulkers. We cannot collect 500 shulkers for every single dimension. So this used to be a blaze farm. You should be able to see it if I turn on the chunk map. And then turn the farm back on. Yeah, it goes down here, and it used to go all the way back here, which is where there was a blaze spawner, and I would just AFK there, spawn a bunch of blazes in, and then load them. But again, this was a very annoying design, because every time someone flew near that area, they would get unloaded, they would despawn, you'd have to do it all over again. So once the server got a bit richer and we got a wither skeleton farm, someone just AFK there for a really long time, got a bunch of wither skeleton skulls, and then right here we have the new mob switch, which is just a bunch of withers. So I'll go there right now and show that off. You can see here, this is the instant line. This is where it continues all the way to where the old mob switch used to be with the blazes. But yeah, here's the one we have right now, which is just, oh my god, extremely loud. We have a ton of withers trapped inside of that contraption. And yeah, they're just sitting there and get loaded whenever we need the mob switch to be turned on. But yeah, this is pretty much it. You can just see a bunch of trapped withers that get loaded and unloaded whenever we need them. And now we get to one of my favorite builds on the server, our pride and joy, the Pearl Cannon. Before we show the Pearl Cannon in action, I'll show you a very quick explanation of the working principle behind it. Right, take this pearl right here. Imagine you want it to go in this direction. What you would do is you just put one TNT here, explode it, and it will go in that direction. Now, let's say you want it to go straight, and you put one TNT there. These both explode at the same time, it'll go in that direction. Now let's say instead of going this far, you want it to go much further. You just double up the TNT and it'll go in the same direction, but it'll go much farther. And then for anything in between, you can just add like different amounts of TNT on different corners and it'll go further, it'll go in slightly this direction because there's more on this side. And that's pretty much how a pearl cannon works. You got a pearl in the middle and 4 places around it in which a certain amount of TNT can explode, and depending on how much you explode and in which corner, the pearl will travel in a certain direction and for a certain distance. But of course, this is infinitely more complicated in-game. As you might have noticed just while playing yourself, if you throw a snowball or an ender pearl, it doesn't always go in the same direction. It has a bit of randomness to it, so you need to account for that. You need to make sure that the pearl goes to a very precise location. You have to do all of this while the pearl is being juggled up and down by a slime block, because of course if it hits something, the player would teleport there and you wouldn't get the desired result. And then you have to also program the machine to be able to dispense all that TNT in one of those corners, depending on where you need to go. Now you do that with an external software that you put the coordinates into of where the cannon is and where you want to go, and it will tell you how to program the machine. But this is a very impressive machine, and this was definitely not simple to design. So yeah, huge credit to all of the guys that worked on making this machine. And yeah, as you can see, that's the that's the basic principle behind it. And then here we have the selection panel where we can just choose wherever we want to go and then just walk in there and go there. So I'll show that right now. Let's say we want to go to the Guardian farm. We're already in this row, so I don't need to reselect that. We just select this one. Guardian farm is selected, then we press this button and wait for the ping. There we go, now it's configured. And then we just walk in here, throw our pearl up in the air, and all of the TNT will be calculated in the correct manner to the point where it launches our pearl all the way in the direction of where we need to go. Oh yeah, and then the pearl lands at its destination, but it only loads the actual chunk that it's in, and since it is only one chunk, it will be lazy loaded. So you can see on the floor, there's also always a hopper formation to load a 5x5 grid around it. So after that chunk initially gets loaded, it loads the chunks around it itself to make the chunk that the pearl is in an entity processing chunk, and then the pearl gets processed so the player can actually get teleported. And there you go. That's how easy it is to use the Pearl Cannon. We've just launched how much? Yeah, about 1,000 blocks in pretty much no time at all. And we're at the Guardian farm right now, which is the next thing I'll show you. Now, the Guardian farm was never actually fully finished, and it definitely wasn't finished on the Nether side, as you can see here. This is, I think, the portal that the Guardians come through, unless there's another one near here that I don't know about. No, well, mainly Lemon, was still doing the portal caching, because I'll show you how big the farm is. So yeah, as you can see, this right here is our double Guardian farm. We got pretty lucky, we didn't select the seed for this, but yeah, we just had two Guardian temples right next to each other, and yeah, we decided to build a double farm out of it. Lemon did most of the work on this one, together with some of the other members on the server. And yeah, as you can see, you got the portals right there, and you have an update suppressor here, which we used for... Let me land here, which we use for getting rid of the bottom portal blocks, the bottom obsidian blocks. This caused it so that whenever the Guardians, or I guess the Pigmen, or any mob that goes through here, goes through this portal and they reach the other side on the Nether, they will be spawning underneath the portal instead of inside of it, which made it so it was much easier to design a killing and collection system for them. And yeah, Lemon never finished this project because he had to do portal caching to make it so that all of the Guardians would go to the same portal because of how much distance is in between them. And he just got kind of burned out doing that because it's a ton of work to do that, to manipulate the portals, and it's just a lot of work. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that it's really hard to do. It takes a lot of time. So yeah, he never finished this farm. It was never actually in use, but it is functional. We could turn it on, and I will actually do that. I'll turn it on and put some lava on the Nether side so that they just die, but so that we can actually see it in action. And yeah, we had a Mandelbrot like fractal on the floor here for the design of the perimeter, and I'm also pretty sure that right here, because Lemon had already built the update suppressor, he decided to make a floating minecart here as well. Yeah, you can actually sit inside of this. It's a fully floating minecart and it's still functional. The tracks are floating, the minecart is floating, it's pretty fun. Yeah, he just did this by using the update suppressor. It was already here when he was building the farm anyway, so might as well put something like that down. But yeah, that's the Guardian farm. Not much else to show here. Right, our next destination is the Mooshroom perimeter, which also sadly was never finished. We started using some world eaters here, but we had the idea to make the perimeter a different shape. It was a dodeca octog whatever hedron, you know, I don't know the actual name. I don't know how many sides it has. I think it was like 18 or 19 or something like that. Or actually, it looks like it was less. I don't remember the exact number, but yeah, we were going to make this some geometric shape, which made it that, yeah, we couldn't just use this square world eater because then we would ruin all of the corners. So we were going to do it in multiple segments, and then the water sweepers kept messing up, and it was a whole ordeal. And yeah, we never finished this. But this right here was a Mooshroom island. I think you can still see it right here where we changed all of the mycelium to grass so that mushrooms wouldn't spawn. Yeah, all of this was a Mooshroom island, and we were going to build one of those Mooshroom farms here, so you can get infinite beef and cooked beef. But yeah, we never actually made that happen. We just started the perimeter and never finished it, which is kind of sad. One thing next to the Mooshroom perimeter that we did finish though is this thing, which is a return pearl cannon. Most servers have a pearl cannon, or had, I don't know how it is with modern day servers, but most servers that had a pearl cannon would just use it to go somewhere, and then whenever they had to return, they would just put everything in an ender chest and kill themselves because they wouldn't want to fly back like 30,000 blocks or however far it is that they went. But what we did is we actually built small pearl cannons and we just removed everything that wasn't necessary. So these aren't programmable. They are set for one single destination, but that's exactly what we need, because once you're here you can just use them to return. So you come here, you don't have anything to program, you just throw it up and it just shoots you back to the Nether hub. Yeah, as you can see, I fall back down right onto the slime blocks here under the carpet, and I'm back at the Nether hub, which is amazing because you can use this for essentially instant transportation anywhere. We can use the pearl cannon to go wherever we need to go to our farms, and then whenever we need to go back, we just have one of those return cannons, and then a bunch of random glass blocks up here for the pearls to actually hit when they're flying in this direction. But it works really well. As you can see, we can just go anywhere and go back, and it's quite hassle-free. Our next destination is a squid farm, but let's not use the pearl cannons for this one. Let's go to the Nether hub and we can use the piston bolt because I don't think I've shown any of those yet in the server tour. Now, I have shown this in my video, but I don't think I showed this in action. So in case you don't know what a piston bolt is, you pretty much sit inside of a minecart and you have a bunch of pistons that push you along, which is much faster than just riding a minecart on powered rails, as you can see right now. Now this is an extremely fast way of traveling, since it goes much faster than the rails, as I just said, but honestly, once you get a pearl cannon, this thing feels super slow. I cannot believe it took me like 15 seconds to get over here, whereas if I used the pearl cannon, I would just be here instantly. But yeah, I'm not going to show around this area too much. You can just see the squid farm as it was in the squid farm video that I made, and you got the killing chamber and everything up here. I've shown all of this as well, and then we don't have a return cannon for this one, though, I realized that, so the nether bolt is still useful. You got ink sac storage here, which, yeah, I mean, we got... I think I AFK'd at this farm one time, and, and this is all of the ink sacs that we collected just from that one AFKing session. It's more than enough, and actually, there would be way more, because I used, I don't know, I think 17 shulker boxes or something like that for the spawn, so yeah, this farm is insanely effective. And then here it is on the overworld side. We have, oh my god, I forgot how loud those guys are. We have our huge perimeter, and then, oh my god. We have our huge perimeter and then a bunch of extremely loud ghasts on the middle that are used to push away the squids into their into the portal so they can go to the overworld side and die. Yeah, this thing took a very long time to build and it's very nice. But I'm not going to waste much more time showing this off since you can already see exactly how I built this in the Squid Farm video. One remark I'll make though is that in that video there is one little moment where I go, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to build a perimeter, and then bam, next shot I instantly have this huge perimeter, and it's a small regret I have because I recorded a lot of footage showing how to make this perimeter. I showed how to set up the world eater, how to dig the trenches, make the smooth walls and everything. I put a lot of effort into that, and then I realized that if I kept that entire segment in, the video would have been, I think, like 40 minutes or something like that. So I decided against doing it, which is kind of a shame because I feel like it would have been nicer if I left that in there. But yeah, I didn't do that. Next up, we have the rabbit farm. And yeah, there's not really much to see here. This was just a perimeter. This was going to be a rabbit farm, but it never came to fruition. And the only thing interesting, the only reason I'm showing this at all is because of this perimeter. I don't remember exactly what method we used, but we were gonna get rid and make a perimeter that was just one layer of bedrock. You can see here, if I put F3 up, you can see I'm standing on Y1. Right underneath this here is a void. And I don't think we used dragon eggs with unload detectors. I don't remember how this was done, but I think it was like the old school method with like the headless pistons that get pushed down. Or I think we built one of those machines and used that. I wasn't very involved in this. I think it was Marcus that was doing this. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, as you can see, it never got finished. But yeah, this was going to be a rabbit farm. And the rabbit farm that never came to be also has a return cannon. Right here, right next to the Nether hub in this weird little tunnel, we have a wither skeleton farm. This is how we get all of our. Oh damn, it's griefed a little bit. But yeah, this is how we got all of our beacons and all of those wither skeletons and all of those withers that we used for the mob switches. Yeah, not much to show here. Just a small wither skeleton farm. It only uses one of the junctions. But right next to it, right here, what we do have is an automatic wither killing station. You would take all of the wither skeleton skulls and put them, I think, up there. Yeah, right up there in that chest. And then you just stand here, AFK on the blue. Stand, I think here, or yeah, right here, so that the soul sand gets dispensed to you, and you aim at the slab, place it all down, aim on top of the slab, place it all down. The soul sands automatically gets pushed into the T shape. Then the dispensers make the wither, push them in here, and then he gets killed. And then the nether stars get collected down here in this chest. Yeah, pretty efficient once you've AFK'd a long time at the wither skeleton farm to be able to just get all of the wither stars without having to kill him like every single time. Next up, we have the quad witch hut. You have the side on the nether here. These portals are where the items come through, and then they go down here to a sorting and storage system. You get the shulkers here that you can just grab a few items from, and then you get full shulkers here in case you need a lot of one resource. The most impressive thing about the witch farm, however, is definitely not the nether's collection site, but the witch farm itself. It's a quad witch hut farm. The quad witch hut farm is nothing super remarkable, it's just a quad witch hut farm like any other. But the most fun thing about this is the way we turn it on. We actually wanted it to be fully wireless, so we didn't want any redstone like slime block pillars going up or anything like that to turn the farms on and off. And Lemon came up with a very inventive way to do that. Up here we just have a wireless redstone switch that uses two daylight sensors to see whenever we push this block above that daylight sensor, so it can send a signal to the farms. But the way we get it in reverse from the ground up towards the farms is way more fun. As you can see, we have a little bit of TNT that gets shot up to each and every single one of the farms, goes over a tripwire, and then turns on the farms. It then gets fizzled out in water so that it doesn't break anything, and a bit of that water actually leaks back down again. But yeah, that's how we're able to turn on all 4 farms from this center platform here without any redstone wires going to any of them. And then the farm designs themselves are just shifting platform designs. You can see the soul sand and the normal blocks right there and the trapdoors. The witches spawn and then fall down. But it's not working right now because the mob switch is turned on, but I will show you footage of it working while I'm talking. And then to turn it back off, we do the same thing. And the TNT gets launched back up again to turn off the farms. And when you're standing in the middle here, in the middle of these 4 blocks, you will be in range of all 4 witch huts at the same time. And next up we have the nether perimeter. Alright, this is the nether perimeter. This thing is absolutely insanely huge, but it was sadly never finished. This was going to be a 3000 by 3000 block nether perimeter with all of the bedrock removed as well, which at the time that we were making it would have been the largest perimeter in any technical server, but that's far surpassed now. There's a server with 10,000 by 10,000 perimeter at this point. Although it never got finished, there's still a lot of interesting things to see here. We obviously have the return pearl cannon. You've seen a few of those at this point, but the main thing is this huge machine right here, which is called the Helix, and this thing is made to break all of the bedrock in an automated fashion. Now, to make this first trench here, we just use regular bedrock breakers with those dragon eggs that you manually have to place down along the whole thing 5 times to remove all 5 layers of the bedrock, but that would obviously not be feasible to do that for the entire 3000 by 3000 perimeter, and that's why this machine exists, the Helix, which automatically breaks all of these items. Lemon actually had to take this design and upgrade it and change it in a certain way because it was so huge that it stopped working. And I remember he got help from XCOM on one of his streams while he was doing that. And just to give you an idea of the scale of this machine, I will now fly from one side to the other side in spectator mode, and you'll see how big this is and how long it must have taken to build this entire thing. On one of my videos, GogiBear123 asked, what are you studying in uni and what are your personal interests? It's a very good question. I'm studying industrial engineering, but where I live, industrial engineering, it's not the same as it is in like America, for example. Industrial engineering here is more of a mix between like mechanical and electrical engineering. I have way more like electronics courses and stuff than I do like industry or company stuff like that. And yeah, it's kind of a shame that I wasn't studying that when we were starting and playing on the server, because back then I was, I think, 17 years old when we started the server. I turned 23 like 2 weeks ago. I am much older now and I'm much more skilled as well. When we started the server, I was just about to finish high school, and it was right before the pandemic started, which is why I had so much time to play on the server in the first place, and the reason I was able to do all of those big projects. But I wasn't very knowledgeable on technical subjects. I was smart enough to understand most of the things, as you could see in the videos. Like, I understood what I was doing, but I didn't create that much new stuff, which is such a shame because I feel like if I started playing technical Minecraft around this time, I would have been able to contribute so much more. I think I would have been able to do much more for the Pearl Cannon, for example. I feel like I could have helped with the design of that thing since I know coding now. I know, I mean, electronics. I know electronics, which isn't really useful in this exact scenario, but just the amount of math and programming I learned got me to a point right now where I'm skilled enough to be able to do all of those things, and it's really such a shame that I stopped playing right around this time. And yeah, I was also extremely busy with school, which is why it took me so long to make the server tour. I'm actually taking a 1 year break from school right now. I'm renovating our house and I'm going to switch to a different university, which is a whole ordeal as well, which is why I'm taking a 1 year break, and that's why I'm able to make this video. But I think that when I start again next year and finish my degree, I don't think I will have enough time to play Minecraft. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, thank you for the question. You can still see remnants of when we were working on here as well, all of these shulker item storages. It's kind of sad to see everything. And this machine was actually never run. It was run a billion times in the test worlds, in creative and whatnot. And it was like almost, I think it was entirely ready. I think there were only a few things left to do before we could actually run the machine and remove all of the bedrock. But yeah, it never happened, which is a huge shame. This would have been one of the biggest projects that our server ever undertook. And yeah, it never got finished, which is quite a shame. But that'll be it for this video, and we'll continue on in part 3, where we'll show a few more of the farms and builds we have around the server, and then go towards the end, the dimension, the end, of course, where we have a ton of other things.